Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dark and Stormy Nights, and this is a planning episode. We are going to be plotting out. It's kind of the beginning of the end, right? I mean, this is kind of...
Yeah, I think we're definitely at the beginning of the end here.
So, I mean, I think after we split some chapters up and everything and make them more than one chapter, we're going to be up around 25 maybe-ish chapters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of that work to do, but you guys know about that. And this one, I think this is going to be one chapter. I think we planned this one out well to be, or we've come up with some ideas that'll keep this kind of one chapter.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It won't be super long, I don't think.
So, by the way, this is Loki.
Oh, and this is Tyr.
And so we had some bad news happen in the last episode, right? We had poor Eliot take one to the stomach, right? A blade through the gut.
Right. And we kind of discussed the fact that we glossed over a previous victory. You know, between the two of us, we both mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to kind of go back to one of those moments, either where Lee is stuffing, pieces of Bodak into a sandwich bag, or back to the point where he's got a shovel to scoop the Bodak's head off the ground in the first place. And I think that we glossed over those moments, but truly, that's his victory.
Yeah, it's I think it would be very much, this is it, Gary. This is my retirement right here.
Because
this is my retirement. We're scraping off the ground.
That was his big job. That was his big bounty. The one that finally pays off his soul debt.
Yeah, even though at this point, when he got the bounty, it was consequential, but at this point, it's not even consequential anymore. I mean, largely due to his work or what have you, but it is definitely not the pressing matter anymore like it was in the beginning.
It's not, but it was the bounty that he was owed, and it was the big one.
Right.
It was the one that was supposed to pay off his debt. And so, in the middle of all this chaos that's going on with the Combine, he freed himself. He did it. He earned that ultimate goal that he was setting out for in the beginning.
Right.
And it's lasting like a chapter.
Yeah.
So bottom line is that we need to kind of go back and shine a spotlight on that victory, and and it doesn't have to be a big thing. It just has to be this is it, man. I did it.
Yeah.
I fucking did it. I'm free. I could walk away right now.
Yeah.
And it just has to be like that moment. And then now we're gonna take it away.
I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, that's life for you. Sorry, Lee. So basically, he has that shining moment,
Yeah.
and it's just, and it's not even something. There's this not like a big celebration. It's not like fireworks or anything. It's just this, fucking did it.
Like I said, I think it'd be funny if they're taking Eliot back to the Combine, and they end up taking him to the room where Lee's, victory party, retirement party, whatever you want to call it. Is set up, waiting for him. Like they knew that once he turned in the Bodak, this was waiting. Like Nigel was gonna.
Okay, but there's a couple issues with that. One, that would mean that any hunters or whoever knew that Lee had a debt to Nigel, and I don't know that that's information he would share.
I think more than a couple have debts, and that's why they're here. I don't think they all do. Some of them do it for the fun. Some of them do it because they found out too much of the world.
But the other thing is that most of the hunters have walked away at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but he does have friends. I mean, there's Gary and Ren, and Shayla's not his friend, but Shayla's Eliot's friend, and Eliot is his friend. And some of the hunters, not everybody thinks he's a dick.
So maybe he walks in and sees decorations and
actually, you know where it would be? It wouldn't be here. It would be at the Humpsman.
Yeah, it probably would be, and they're probably not taking Eliot back there.
Yeah, not probably. Probably not.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be funny if we could work it in. I just don't know how to make it make sense.
Yeah. I mean, unless the huntsman itself was surrounded, then they might take him to the Humpsman to heal him up, but...
Yeah, but it's a little early for that.
Yeah, they didn't.
So, I don't know. Well, if I can work it in, I'll find a way to do it, but I honestly don't know that I can.
Okay.
Anyway, so so basically we'll have to put a spotlight on that, and then basically this chapter is going to have to open up with the fact that Eliot's dying, because that's kind of the most pressing issue.
Yeah.
You know.
That's an issue.
So I think that first and foremost, they're going to rush Eliot back to the Combine, you know, where they have the most resources to try to save him. And, you know, Lee lived there, so maybe he has some magic stash somewhere. Nigel obviously has, you know, a library of magic there that he can try to pull from. He has his own power, but again, there's only so much he can do with his own power.
Right.
Without serious debt. So we're going to have them attempt to save him, and none of the usual, like, healing potions or stamina or whatever it is that they're trying to throw at him is working.
Right.
Because this is a very serious injury, and
Sure.
he's truly on the verge of death. And I think that, you know, at this point, when it's really getting to a point where shit's about to go bad, Nigel does the only thing he can do and puts him in, like, a stasis that slows down his death.
Yeah.
It won't stop anything. He's still going to die. All he's done is buy them time. And it just basically slows down everything about Eliot. He's breathing super slow. His heart is beating super
It's
slow.
like magically freezing him or something.
Right. And he's just kind of stuck there. And there's nothing that's fixing him at this moment. It is just slowing his death and buying them time. And then I think from here we leave Eliot dying in their hands, and we cut over to maybe Annalise in the underground.
Okay.
And there's one big thing that has changed since the last time she was there trying to gather support, and that is now she's got a force on her side.
Right. Now, I don't think everybody's going to follow her.
No, I
think she's
definitely
got
don't.
certain people who will definitely follow her, and certain people who just want their fair shake from the Combine. And I think there are people who believe the Combine really is changing, and they're willing to give them a shot.
Absolutely. I definitely think that there's still going to be that group.
The question is, when Annalise gets her loyalists or whatever, does she do something about the disloyal? You know, or does she let them go, thinking that if she does anything to them, it'll hurt her chance with the ones she gets?
I think that what she would do is maybe like plan for their demise down the road, but right now, until she takes her throne,
Right.
she needs to put that aside.
Right.
Yeah, I think that she is planning on dealing with them, but I think she also is smart enough to know that this isn't the time to do
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it's something to think about. There are going to be people who say no, and they may be a threat overall, but if she does anything about them, I think it'll hurt her chances with the ones she does get to her side,
Correct. And I think that she probably always had some people who are going to be on her side, regardless, because they're angry with the Combine.
Sure.
I think that her bringing her army down there to show them, look, we've got a shot at this. This isn't like a couple of us, we're all going to die taking on sorcerers. This is,
Yeah.
And
I said there's like 1,000 men, 200 beasts, right? I said about half of them got through. So 500 men,
Right.
100 beasts. That's a big army.
It is a big army. And I think that seeing that this isn't like marching into their deaths, I think that pulls a few more people over to her side.
Right.
People who, are angry with the Combine, but they weren't willing to die for it.
Sure.
Now they see, wait, we got a chance to do this, you know?
Right.
So I think that she has the people who were loyal to her before, and then plus a few.
Right.
So basically, she goes down there and she sees, more people who were not necessarily on her side before pulling over to her side.
Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit of intimidation, a little bit of them like, oh, we have a good shot here.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them afraid that if they don't side with her and she wins, that there's going to be trouble.
Right.
But some of them are going to have integrity. And
Right. And so those people are probably the ones who are going to work things out with the Combine in the end. The ones that don't join her.
Right.
So basically, I think she takes note of those people, but she knows that she has to fight one battle at a time.
Right.
If you try to fight all your battles on all fronts, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, I think that we just show her gathering the army, and then I think that we show her taking note of her disloyal group to be dealt with later. And there's no doubt that she's looking for a throne, but she can't say that just yet. That's kind of a big reveal at the end that's
Right.
going to fuck her over. So we're going to cut away from Annalise after that, and we're going to head back to Eliot in no better condition.
Right.
And then Nigel and Lee, now that they have a breather where they've bought time, they're going to turn on Rowan.
Right.
Who's also still injured, because, half of her life force was sucked out of her for that portal. She has no chance of defending herself against a bounty hunter and a sorcerer. And they're going to look to her for, tell us what the hell just happened,
Right.
And I think that at this point...
Yeah, she's going to have to reveal her... Well, I think, she's going to have to reveal her Fae form, and...
Yeah, I think she's going to have to spill the beans about everything. And I mean, I don't think that she wouldn't want to, but also, she betrayed them.
Right.
So I think that there is some hesitation to, if truly she doesn't know if they'll kill her for her disloyalty, or what it is. I think she hopes that they're the good guys and that they're not going to harm her, but it's not like Annalise would have had any hesitation in killing her.
Well, I think they understand Fae law a bit, too. I mean, they're going to be upset and all that stuff, but...
And they're going to know that Eliot's going to be especially feeling betrayed if they manage to save him.
Right.
So, and someone's going to have to reveal this betrayal to him, should he live. So, basically, the plot unfolds here.
Right.
The reader, everything is revealed to all parties. And I think that, once they realize that it's not just, discontent that they have going on in the Fae community, that they have a literal army coming to take out the Combine, that they realize that the threat against them and the Combine is much bigger than they had originally assumed. With their peace treaty is only going to go so far.
Right.
Because it ultimately doesn't matter. There's a separate faction that's not looking for peace.
Right.
So now they have war. They have a dying ally. And while they're still looking at ways to save Eliot, the army shows up. And the army is bigger than it was before because Raina went underground to gather the forces.
Right.
So they show up. Eliot's dying. War's literally at their doorstep. And then the wolves show up.
Do you want the wolves to show up now, or do you want them to be a chaos factor later?
It's up to you. Do you think we need the wolves now?
I mean, I think it's an oh shit moment, but I think they're already oh shit. You know what I'm saying?
They are. They have war at their doorstep. Eliot's dying. Do you want to say... Let's save the wolves for later.
They were in North Dakota. It's a few days' drive.
Okay. So we have a lot of oh shit going on here. Basically, the stakes have been upped at this point. And now Lee has to make a choice. They've tried everything that they can. Nothing has saved Eliot. And now it's a matter of there's one thing left to do.
Yep.
And Lee's going to have to go back into debt with Nigel because Eliot's not alive to agree to a debt himself. So Lee agrees to go.
Well, and he can't, even if he did what he did to Lee or whatever, Eliot's got to stay in this mystical coma, so he can't do what he did with Lee,
Lee wasn't as close to death when Nigel saved
Right,
him.
right.
And he was able to make the agreement. Nigel was able to fix him. There wasn't a question at that point.
Right.
Even though he was dying, he was
Yeah.
also not as close to death as
That,
Eliot
that
is
contract
right now.
wouldn't hold up in a normal court, but
Right.
he was
So
in
at
better
this
shape.
point, Nigel can't even promise that he can save Eliot. All
Right.
he can promise is that he can try. But it's up to Lee to accept Eliot's debt.
And if you remember, it even took all day to save Lee.
So at this point, which is going to take Nigel out of at least the first half of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it took all day to put Lee back together. It's gonna take a long time to fix Eliot too.
So this could be the thing that takes Nigel out of the fight.
For a while, anyways. I mean, the Combine does have. I mean, it's not just hunters; they are sorcerers. They are powerful beings.
So
It's-
maybe having assistance will put Nigel back in
It's
the
just
fight.
there's
sooner.
not a ton of sorcerers. There's a reason.
Right, no, there's not. And especially now that they've locked up several of their elders for
Right.
that assassination plot. they're even fewer numbers. So yeah, and honestly, this isn't a winnable war for them. I don't think, not as it stands.
No, and Shayla is loyal to Eliot and Eliot alone. So I don't think she's in this fight either. I think she's I think she's willing to help Lee, or I think she's willing to help Eliot if they need.
Like she'll guard his door.
Yeah, she'll guard him.
So
but that's it.
If some creature breaks in, she'll take them out, but she won't.
Yeah, she'll save Eliot.
So maybe she'll stand by like the door of the combine. If anything tries to get in, she'll eat it.
Yeah,
Who
maybe.
knows?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think she gives a shit. The combine is nothing to her.
Right.
No,
I agree with you.
Dragons don't give a fuck about the affairs of men and fae. So, but Eliot and her definitely became friends.
Right, I agree. Okay, so in some way, basically, Shayla's not in the fight. She'll protect Eliot, and that's about it.
Right.
And ultimately, Nigel's out of the fight, at least for a while. Which means it's going to be down to, a handful of hunters and whatever sorcerers they have in there.
Yeah.
Are we going to involve the loyal fae who are looking to work things out with the combine, or we just leave them out of it completely?
I mean, I think that we could involve them as a guerrilla faction or something like that.
Down the road.
Well, they might be
like a moment of, at the first rays of dawn, look to the whatever it was.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like they're maybe waiting in the because
I'm talking about like that moment in Lord of the Rings where like Helm's Deep, everything looks like it's the end, and next thing they know, like the day rises and there's another army joining in to help them.
Yeah, but I think what it is at first the Fae are watching to see if the Combine can handle it themselves. Like,
yeah, and I think they
if
can.
and when you need help, they'll come to their.
So, and I think that should we choose, and that's not this chapter, but I think that should we choose to do this, where the Fae who are willing to work with the Combine end up coming in to help them fight. I think that's going to make maybe Fae on the other side more hesitant to fight against people that they know that they live with and like whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe at that point, that triggers her to say, I'm your queen, you'll obey me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no.
Well, and not to mention if she uses the voice on any of them.
Oh, and tries to force their loyalty?
Yeah. I think that's really going to piss people off.
I agree with you. So, yeah, but I mean, that's future chapters. I think here where we end things, it's going to be, Lee agrees to go back into debt to save Eliot, and then, all Nigel can do is agree to try.
Okay. Yeah, I dig it. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much covering it. I mean, unless you want to focus more on the underground.
I mean, if you want to get a little bit into the underground, we can.
I'm just not sure, like, how far we want to take it with her. Is she just going to go down there, give her speech, gather an army?
Yeah, I mean, I think she knew.
Do you want her to make enemies of the other group, I guess?
You could always have some dissent. You can have some people, speaking out against her, but in the end, she's going to walk away with a good chunk of these people.
A chunk of them. I'm just wondering if we, like,
I don't think the majority. I think maybe a third.
No, I agree with you. Definitely not the majority.
And I think that some of that third is shaky. So at some point, they're going to be easy to sway back.
They may be opportunistic, but not necessarily loyal.
Right.
But the question is, does she make an enemy of the others while
yeah,
she's
maybe.
there?
Well, especially the three witches.
Oh, yes, the witches. For
they're
being
a very
such
powerful force.
Yeah, they're a very powerful force.
And it'd be really weird for them to join the Combine side.
It would be at the same time. That's true. How do we work that out?
Well, I think that maturity dictates that we can share an enemy and still not be friends. So it's like, I'll help you defeat this enemy, but we still have shit to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
I think that the witches maybe recognize power hungry when they see it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they've been around hundreds of years.
Right.
I mean?
And they've literally died because of this.
Right.
So maybe they see Reyna as another threat.
Right.
And she maybe expects them. Like, they killed you. They literally killed you.
Right.
And I brought you back.
Right.
And they're going to look at her and, just kind of your mission isn't ours. This isn't what we're looking for.
Right.
You know? And that they don't really care that Reyna's on a quest for power. Like, I mean, obviously their concern is their ancestors.
Sure.
Their ancestors shouldn't be under anybody's thumb.
Right.
And I think that is their concern.
Yeah, and their kin shouldn't be their children and grandchildren and stuff like that.
Right.
We had enough dictators.
Right. Their concern is their line.
Right.
And so it's going to end up being not necessarily that, okay, well, we're going to go help the Combine. It's going to be a we won't help you kind of thing.
Right.
And I think that maybe that does cause a little bit of, enemy territory between the two groups.
Bringing the witches into it could make for an interesting battle later, too, because they could try some neutral magics or whatever to make even fighting at all difficult, right? So if they summoned a really strong thunderstorm or something like that, you know what I'm saying, it could make the battle even difficult to start, so...
Yeah, and I think that thunderstorms and rain are kind of always used as this ominous.
But I'm saying it wasn't there. Clear skies.
It's a dreary night, kind of your battle is hopeless. It gives it this ambiance, But I also think that the witches, where they come in, is not necessarily fighting on the side of the Combine, but maybe they show up at this battle. They see what's going on, and at the point when Reyna uses her voice to try to control her loyalists. Oh, that's fun.
That was weird.
I think at the point when Reyna tries to command them, the witches make it to where she can't force them to obey.
Oh, like they cancel the voice?
They block her magic in some way. Like, no, maybe it works at first, but when they see what she's doing, they gather the power of their line, and they fight against her so that the Fae subjects that she's trying to command regain their free will.
Yeah.
They protect them in some way. A protective shield. It doesn't matter how they do it, but I think that they help them. It's not that they're fighting on the side of the Combine. It's that they give them their free will to decide for themselves.
Well, and
I think that once she has tried to force them, she's going to lose them all.
It's just like me, man. You try and push me into something. I'm definitely not helping you now. I'm
right,
definitely
exactly.
on the opposite side.
Exactly. Because it wasn't that she was looking for their freedom. It was that she was looking to be the Combine, maybe worse than the Combine.
Right.
And I think that at that point, she loses all of the loyalists who are not part of the Fae army.
Sure.
So, even if the witches aren't a factor in like, we'll fight against the Combine, I think they're a factor in we'll protect our people.
Sure.
Regardless of whether they chose our side or not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's definitely a big role for them.
Cool. All right, we got anything else?
No, I think that works.
Wonderful. All right, well, catch us next week. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the Dark Stormy K1, on Reddit at r/Dark and Stormy Nights. We're on Facebook. You can find the podcast anywhere podcasts can be found. And we're also on YouTube. We love your feedback. Like, subscribe, comment, rate. We're into all of that. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.